Hello, year three. I hope that you've had a wonderful weekend, and I want to thank you for those of you who have sent in your learning last week. It was amazing seeing your wonderful mathematics learning, and I've spoken to Miss Edwards, and she is incredibly proud as well of how much effort you have put into not only your maths but also your English and your topic. So thank you very much, as well as guided reading. Let's not forget that. So again, keep on sending in your learning so that we can put up for display and for other children to benefit from your learning, because we're a community, so we want to learn from each other. Okay, so today we're going to be learning about fractions. Now, fractions are very, they can be quite tricky, but if you understand this one lesson, they will become a lot easier. So there's nothing to fret about. They're not a monster. They are your friends, and you'll see that by the end of this unit, you will be saying, I had nothing to worry about, because I know some of us are quite worried about fractions. Today's lesson will be basically the building block as to what a fraction really is, and from this input you will be able to answer your mild, spicy and haha today, but also will help you moving on in the future. So please revisit the video if you have any questions. Let's start with the basics. So what is a fraction? Now, a fraction literally means a part. So that's what it comes from the Latin, and it means a part. Now, when we are dealing with fractions, we're going to use this different shapes. In this case, a rectangle, but it could be it could be a square, it could be any sort of shape, and they help us represent fractions. Now, again, a fraction is part. So a part of a whole. In this particular representation of this rectangle, I split it up into three smaller rectangles. You can probably see that. Now, they have to be of the same size. If they're not of the same size, I could not say that these are thirds in this case, because they're 1, 2, and 3. If this was bigger than the rest, I could not say that is 1/3. So the very first thing is that each and every part has to be of the same size. So we call that the part, one of the parts, to the whole model, okay? One part out of the whole thing. So a fraction really is a chunk out of the whole thing. The whole thing would be my whole shape, and the fraction will be what is shaded in. So we use that to represent fractions. So in this case, I split my whole shape into three equal parts. Remember that they have to be equal. If they're not equal, of equal size, then they cannot be thirds. Okay, that would be something completely different. So that cannot be thirds. Again, they have to be of the same size. In this case, we have got one out of those three shaded in, therefore, and we call this number here on top of my fraction, because this is how we write fractions. So this is my pictorial representation, or a picture, and this is my abstract representation. So you will see fractions written as this, but also they can be represented in this way, pictorially, where I'm pointing here, and then abstractly, how you ordinarily see them. So the top, we call that the numerator, okay? The numerator. So the numerator is the part of the fraction that is on the top, and we call that, again, the numerator. Okay, now the numerator, essentially, if you can just refer back to my representation here, I have 1, 2, and 3 because I split into three equal parts. My numerator are the shaded bits. Okay, so in this case, I've shaded one whole of these shapes that or of these chunks that I've divided my whole into. That would be my numerator. Now, my denominator, this number right here, my denominator, okay, numerator is on the top, denominator is at the bottom. My denominator are the how many parts I split my whole into. So in this case, it's 3. 1, 2, and 3. That's called my denominator. Okay? So in this case, I would just like you to have a go. So you can stop the video now and you can have a go as to what do you think that would be. Just don't look over here. So yes, it is 1/4. Okay? Because we have my whole split into equal. See, this and that and that and that. They're all equal size, and I am shaded 1, so therefore I have 1/4. Now if I had shaded 2, that would be 2/4. So my numerator again are the shaded areas, and my denominator are how many I've actually split them, my whole, into. Okay, so this is a completely different fraction than this one, not only because of the shape, because of the amounts that I have shaded in and the amounts that have been cut into equal parts. Okay, now let's go to this concept, all right? Because let's say I have shaded in, and instead of just 1, like I have done in the above examples, you can shade as many as you like in this particular shape. Again, equal sizes. If I decide to, shade the 4, or if let's say I have a pizza and I have this, that, and that, I have 4, right? Because I have shaded 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I have 1, 2, 3, and 4 parts that have been split. The whole has been split. So I have 4/4, or 4/4. And isn't that the same as 1? Because if I have selected this, that, and that is 4 parts, right? Out of 4 possible parts. Therefore, I have the whole. I have 1. And we refer the whole always as 1. All right? And why we do that is obviously because you don't have 1 yet here, right? You only have a chunk of the whole thing. The whole is 1, right? 1 shape. The same thing here. We have a chunk, a fraction out of the whole shape. But all of a sudden, if in this particular case, if we have all of the different parts shaded in, then I have the whole thing, and the whole thing is 1, right? I don't have 2 or 3. I only have 1, as you can see, one shape. Okay, that's why we say 1. If I had, for example, let me just give another example here. If I had, let's say, 1 circle, and then I'm going to do quarters just because it is easy to draw, and I had, for example, that, and I have shaded this and this as well, all of that. Again, my denominator would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I have split them into quarters. So I have now 1 and 2. So I have 2 whole. Okay? And we're going to talk about at another time as how this is really a division. But don't worry about that right at this moment. Okay, so this is very important. Let's recap. So my numerator is essentially, again, fractions. It is a part of the whole, and these parts need to be of equal size. If they're not, then it's not a fraction. Okay, let's just say that it's not a fraction for argument's sake. Okay. Again, my numerator, the definition of the numerator is the bits that are shaded, okay, out of my whole. And then my denominator are how many I've split my whole into. So in this case, is 1, 2, and 3 equal parts. That's my denominator. And numerator, I have shaded in 1. Okay. Now, if I've shaded all of my fractions, okay, this is all different fractions out of my whole. If I shaded all of them, I have obviously in this particular case, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 4 possibles, or I have the whole thing, which is the whole thing means is 1. Now again, let me just say that if parts of the whole are not equal in size, so if these are not equal in size, it cannot represent a fraction. So for example, in this particular case, I have got a triangle. So this is my shape, and I've shaded this. And what this means, but this cannot, okay, that's why it's not equal to 1/2. Why? Well, simply because this and this are not of equal size. As you can see here, these are of equal size, these are equal size, so I can say with confidence this is 1/4 in this particular case, or 1/3 in this particular case. Here, this and this are not equal. Therefore, it cannot equal 1/2. It would be incorrect for me to say that it is 1/2. Okay? So for argument's sake, we're just going to make sure that we know that if they don't have the same, let's say, area, this is not the same area as this, therefore they cannot be 1/2 because they have to be equal in size. Okay, so that is all for today. Just go and answer your mild, spicy, and hot. And if you need to go back and refer to the video, please do so. And if you have any questions, please ask your parents to email them to me, and I will try to answer them as best as I can. Again, this is a very important lesson because fractions, we need to understand what they are. We need to understand the numerator and the denominator. And if you don't, by the end of this lesson, you need to make sure that you email with your doubts. So that is all for today. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll speak to you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.